Hello YouTube, Siro here from Team Endgame, bringing you the Dimensional Police breakdown from the new character booster set, We Are Trinity Dragon. There is an SP pack, which in this set, but it contains many of the cards we're going to go over. The only reprint it contains is Super Cosmic Hero X Tiger, which was in the original Cosmic Raw. There is also 2 reprints in this set, one of which is the Break Ride, Super Dimensional Robo Daikaiser, and we also get Dimensional Robo Kaisergrader, which is act on rearguard circle, counterblast 1, choose a grade 3 Dimensional Police from your hand and discard it. Put this unit into your soul. If you have a card named Dimensional Robo Kaiser on your Vanguard, and your opponent has a grade 2 or greater Vanguard, search your deck for up to 1 card named Super Dimensional Robo Daikaiser, write it as stand, and shuffle your deck. So effectively, if your opponent's on grade 2, you can up them and ride the Break Ride. It can synergize with the new starter from this set, but we'll go into that later on. But most of the time you don't really want to beat your opponent to grade 3. It's not going to help you unless you can stride first. So starting off, we have Great Galactic Governor Commander Laurel D. Now Laurel's back, huzzah, it's now a stride. Its skill, burst, act, Vanguard, choose 4 of your rear guards and rest them. If this unit's power is 20k or greater, until the end of turn this unit gets auto Vanguard once per turn. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, stand this unit. And then, if this unit's power is 25k or greater, this unit gets auto Vanguard once per turn. At the end of the battle this unit attacked, if the attack did not hit, choose up to 4 of your rear guards and stand them. So I guess the ideal scenario is you get to 25k, do the skill, you hit, and then you don't hit the second time, so you stand all your rear guards. Problem is, get into the 20/25k. Effectively, if you get to 25k and they just perfect guard your Vanguard attack, or they just guard it because 25 is much weaker than normal stride, then you're sort of looking at my Vanguard swung and now I've got rear guards to swing. Like a generic stride, it's not benefiting. The pressure this really is if you can get a beefy number and they cannot guard, then yeah, by all means. If you can somehow abuse, like get ridiculous power on it and they don't have to guard, then you could, yes, you can destroy. But the problem with it is you need to give it what, 3-4Ks to hit past 25k barrier. So it's 4k itself on top of the 11k Vanguard you're riding. Doesn't include a booster as far as I'm aware on the number, because it's the act when you do this skill. But I mean, you can replace. So you can literally rest your entire field, replace them, just if you're not hitting a 25, but again, you're negging a lot of cards on the hope that you're going to hit. Probably best in a Gallant deck, or the one, so both the new Gallant in this set and the old Gallant, so it gives you Vanguard plus the 4k, so then I guess you only really need the 2 lots of 4k extra, but again, do you really want that? As it's not really a finisher, it's not really a threat, and unless they have like no cards unless they got no cards in hand, you're not really threatening them. It's probably better to have a normal Laurel out with the threat of my Vanguard swinging at you, what are you going to do about it, and you can get much bigger numbers as well. I really don't think it's a great card, and I don't like the fact that it's the GR. Moving on to what probably should be the GR, but I guess Laurel can go in any deck, this can't. It's Dimensional Robo Commander-Admiral Final Daimax. Act Vanguard once per turn. Choose a face down card named itself. flip it face up. If you have a heart with dimensional Robo in its card name, to the end of the turn this gets plus 10k. Then, if the number of face up cards in your G zone is 2 or more, it gets crit plus 1. Then, if the number of face up cards in your G zone is 4 or more, all of your units with dimensional Robo in its card name in your front row get plus 5k plus a crit. So effectively, if you can fulfill all the conditions, which would be first turn, stride, flip 1 up, G-guard, this is your second stride, flip 1 up, you get 15k plus 2 crit to your Vanguard. Both rear guards get a crit trigger on them anyway. Boom. Like, it is such a good card. Like, even if you just want Vanguard with like 10k and a crit, that's like its worst scenario. Best scenario, Vanguard 15k in a crit, and everything else gets crit. The normal play would be your first stride is the Die Earth, and then so flips 1 up. Then you go into, then you G-guard go into this. The upside that it doesn't have a cost, so you just flip. So it means you can use Counterblast for anything else you want in the deck. It's just, and it's so much pressure. So your opponent's on 4, then everything in the front row, you have to guard everything. If your opponent's on 3, and you get all the effects off, they have to guard the Vanguard, fine. You assume they're going to do it anyway. If they're on 2, it's crit for game. If they're on 1, potentially you could even double crit for game. And in the ludicrous scenario, which is completely absurd, they're on 0 damage, triple crit, you kill them 1 turn kill. That's not going to really happen, but the thing is, it's such a threat that they have to guard it. But the big deal which it brings to the table, which like it can't guard break, but the big thing it brings to the table is your rear guards in the front row get the 5k in crit, which means even as like a finisher final turn card, you've buffed up your front row by 5k, which is so good, because 5k will always break a barrier, providing the card is hitting. Plus 5k will break a barrier. So 21, big giant number Vanguard, like it's such a good card, and it helps DP, it helps D-Robo just come to the forefront. Next up is Bravest Rush Grandgallop, triple R. Burst on rearguard, generation break 3. When your Vanguard attacks, if your Vanguard's power is 30k or greater at the end of the turn, this gets plus 4k. And if your Vanguard's power is 60k or greater, this gets crit plus 1. Also, on the Vanguard, at the beginning of your ride phase, the number of cards in your hand is 2 or less. Until the end of the turn, you may stride without paying the cost. So auto Vanguard cap plus 1. When you G-stride during the turn, choose one of your Vanguards gets plus 4k, and if it has a burst ability, you may pay the cost. If you do, that unit gets plus 4k. So effectively, you can give 8k to your stride. Can help with Laurel, so helps there. If not, you're just giving it 4k, like the other Gallop, fine. The rearguard effect is very interesting because potentially you can have the threat of a crit on the rearguard. Not sure how many times you'll be dropping a grade 3 on the rearguard. Making it a 15k swinger on its own is great, because then with 7k or 6k you're hitting 21s. The fact that if you have 2 or less cards in your hand, so you've used all your guard, you can still stride into something, makes the card very, very good. And only Counterblast 1 gives your Vanguard potentially 8k benefits towards, if you have one of the rearguard, helping towards 60k mark. If not, all the burst ability Vanguards benefit a lot from the 8k. So yeah, it's nice. It's a good card, and honestly, you're probably going to run it with the original. I think like most of these sets, you're just going to run both Vanguards will be Gallop. So because it's just so good on, they both have the on stride, you get to do something. And it's, yes, it's power in the Vanguard, but that helps in other ways, which is nice. Moving on, we have Hyper Metalborg Gilt Digger, which is the stride on Vanguard once per turn. Choose a face down card name with Metalborg in its card name for G-Zone, turn it face up. Number of your heart cards you have is 2. This unit gets plus 20k in a crit. The number of heart cards with Metalborg in its name is 1. Search your deck for up to 1 card that can Legion with your heart. Place it in your Heart's Legion with that on your Vanguard. Shuffle your deck, draw a card. I don't mind it as a card, but the other Metalborg is probably going to be better for you. You lose the benefit of Legion, which is a big plus when Legion came out. It's just you put 4 cards back, 3 to 4 cards back in your deck, mainly triggers. You have more chance of triggering. You lose that, but you get Legion, which means you don't have to Legion during a turn. So potentially, if you go into the other Metalborg stride, you draw 2 cards from it. You would probably want to flip itself, because the other stride doesn't actually flip anything. But unless it's one of those, unless you don't have 2 counterblast and you're already in Legion. Like the only time I will go into this card is if I don't have 2 counterblast, so I can't threaten you and say you can't perfect guard. I already have Legion, so I've already Legioned before, so I can threaten you with big number and a crit, hoping you don't have a perfect guard. But the other stride is better. It's nice that you have this, but I don't think this is going to be game changing. I don't think it's going to make Metalborg suddenly rise from the ashes to where they once were. But it's nice that like they can have this option. But I think the benefit of Legion is you put 4 cards back. Next we have Gallant Incarnation G-05. This is G Guardian for this set. Soul Blast 1 card with power 5k or greater. When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, you pay the cost. If you do, this unit gets shield plus 10k to end that battle. Then, if a card was put into a damage zone during this turn, this gets shield plus 5k to end that battle. So, you're going to want to do it after you've taken a damage to get a benefit out of it. Otherwise, just go into another DP stride, G-Guard. Because like Soul Blast 1 for 10k isn't good enough if you've already got a G-Guard which can give you the 10k. The benefit is if they niggle you from a rear guard, you go into this, boom, you've got the 15k extra shield, 30k guard. The weird requirement is the 5k or greater Soul Blasting card, which means if you've got any triggers or starters which go into the Soul which are 4k, you've somehow had to ride Laurel and then keep riding, you can't Soul Blast it. So anything which is 4k or less, you just can't. It's just stuck in your Soul sitting there. But yeah, it's not really too big an issue. And Soul isn't really used much in any of the DP builds, especially the ones that I've used and seen. It's more of a, if you were looking for something which to use the Soul, this is kind of it. Again, if you use it in dimensional Robo, you probably don't want to use your Soul too much. However, it's not a bad card, but again, you have to take a damage first for it to get its full effect, which could potentially mean you take the Vanguard swing. Next up is Enigman Helm. Burst, Generation Break 2. When this unit is placed on rear guard, if your Vanguard's power is 15k or greater, and at the end of the turn, this unit gets plus 4k. If your Vanguard's power is 30k or greater, choose one of your Vanguards. At the end of the turn, it gets. Choose one of your rear guards with the burst ability, put it into your Soul. When your opponent's unit is placed on Guardian Circle, you pay the cost. If you do, your opponent chooses one of his or her grade 3 or less Guardians and retires it. I think this is a really bad card, if I'm honest. You're negging your field to stop their guard, fine. They get to choose, and I know it's when it's placed, but it doesn't stop a perfect guard, doesn't stop a G guard. The only time it could come in useful is if they go quintet wall on you, and each time a card is put into the guard circle you get to choose the effect. But the problem's going to be if the first one's a grade 3, the second one's a trigger, so 10k guard, and you use the skill, your opponent's going to choose the grade 3. So it's not helping you there either. I get why, because it's that risk and reward. I'm negging myself to neg you, so you have to do something. And especially if I'm swinging at you for 30 or greater and you don't have a G guard or a perfect guard, potentially I'm forcing A, even more from your hand, or if you look at the field and go, he could retire like what, 3? I guess ideal scenario is 5, but 4, 3 for my guards. You're just going to take the Vanguard hit. So it starts potentially playing into that mind game scenario of, would he risk his field? Should I just no guard it and risk he doesn't get a crit or something? But on top of that, if they want to, and they generally could do this, put a grade 3 down first. So they could bait you out and say, grade 3, 0, 0, 0. Right, you retire 1, I retire grade 3. I just don't think it's that great, but again, the only scenario really is I can't afford to risk dropping all my triggers because he's just going to neg them and it's not enough guard otherwise. No guard. So it's potentially that threat, but it's only on the turn it's called. So again, if you have it, you've got to use it at a crucial time. And you have to hope they don't have a PG because it doesn't stop it. Next up is the Enigman Helm, which is a perfect guard, which is going back to the old style of it can guard any attack, not just a Vanguard. But its secondary skill is Burst from the drop zone, Generation Break 2, Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1. At the end of the battle, your Vanguard with the Burst ability attacked. If that unit's power is 40k or greater, it pays the cost. If you do, return this card to your hand. If that unit power is 45 or greater, you countercharge one. So effectively, ideal scenario is you Soul Blast 1, return it to your hand. You have to pay the cost first, so you can't get away with it. I've got all my counter blasts used up, but I can unflip and counter blast, blah, blah. No, you have to pay the cost. Where it's going to be great is you need Vanguard's burst ability. So you're ideally saying is Gallant. With that, you're kind of you've committed triggers to your Vanguard to get to the 45. To get to 40, not so much, but to get to the 45, definitely put triggers on, really, most scenarios. So, is Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1, get a perfect guard back to your hand good enough? Yeah, probably. Wouldn't really see use for it in a dimensional Robo deck, because it's quite hard to put it to like fulfill the fact that you have a burst Vanguard. Usually I'd probably say in either an Enigman / Gallant deck. But yeah, it's getting to the point of a lot of these cards now, like new perfect guards can recycle themselves. This is probably a harder one to get done because you need to have the burst and you need to get 40k and ideally you want to be able to counter charge. But it's basically either the Unflipper or this. Maybe you can run one or two of both. Next we have Super Cosmic Hero X Lead. Burst. When this unit attack hits, if this unit's power is 35 or greater, draw a card. Then if it's 40k or greater, choose one of your rear guards in standard. and act once per turn. Choose a face down card from your G zone, turn it face up. Choose up to 5 of your rear guards, arrest them. Choose up to 1 of your rear guards, and that unit and this unit get plus 4k for each unit that was rested to the end of the turn. So this is more towards the GB2 enabler for if you maybe can't get a better one. It's quite nice that this and that unit get it, so it helps it towards the 40k, helps towards 35 even, and it's up to 5, so you don't have to rest the entire field, because that would be weird because it's rested, on the hope that you're going to restand it. If you get to 40k or greater, you are basically saying, I'm going to restand the dude I just buffed up. But really, on hit draw card. Potential on hit draw card, standard card. I don't think it's great. Potentially early game, yeah, you're going to get it to hit. Late game, it's not doing anything really. Ooh, it's threat. No, if they risk the no guard, they've got enough to guard a rear guard. Bear in mind you're beefing up your rear guard. Probably by what? 8k? Maybe more. Risking it. So I think it's unreliable. I don't really see it being used. It's nice as burst, so it synergizes with all the other cards which rely on a burst Vanguard. But I just don't think it's good enough. Enigman Gigastorm, which is in the SP pack as well. Burst Auto Vanguard GB2, beginning of your attack step, if this unit's power is 15k or greater, Soul Charge 1. Then if this unit's power is 20k or greater, until the end of the turn, all your units in the front with Enigman get plus 4k. Also, Vanguard, count +1, Soul +1. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your rear guards with Enigman in its card name. Increase that unit's power by this unit's power. So, more Enigman support. Nice. Potential move away from the ride chain. Good. Effectively, this is I can't stride, what can I do? Well, to get to 20k or greater, begin your attack step, you've gone brake ride, essentially. And well, if you're brake riding, why don't you just stride? It's nice that it buffs the front row, because most Enigmans sort of fall into that. I buffed the Vanguard and that's kind of it. I'm banking on the Vanguard doing something. And again, it's nice that it can buff the front row with its second skill, count as my Soul +1. Problem is that has to hit. And at GB2, if you can't stride, you're sort of falling down a dark path because you're going to get 2 cards. And you also run into the point that, yes, you increase the other unit's power by a big number, but if they couldn't guard the Vanguard, they've either got a perfect guard or they can't guard the rear. So increasing the power potentially isn't going to benefit you that much. I don't think it's that great a card. I'm not entirely sold on the Enigman support, and I just think you want something on stride or a good rear guard effect to really sort of impact the deck. I don't think it helps the other Storm support, and I don't think itself is going to win you the game unless they can't guard anyway, in which case, whoop. Yes, potentially if they couldn't guard the Vanguard because it's a big number, by beefing up the rear guard they can't guard that either. So in that way it's sort of, it's the whole, if you're winning it puts you further ahead idea of they couldn't guard this, they can't guard that. If they could guard this, they don't care about that, potentially, because this is going to buff that. I just don't think it's a big cut. Dimensional Robo Dailesson. Continuous rear guard during your turn. This gets plus 2k for every face-up card with D-Robo in its card name in the G-Zone. Continuous rear guard if you have a Vanguard with Daishu in its card name, gets plus 2k. Continuous rear guard if you have a Vanguard with Daikaiser in its card name, gets plus 2k. So this is essentially an 11k grade 2. Yes, come grade 3, but from that point it's potentially 11k grade 2, best case scenario continuous 13k grade 2, plus all the power you get from face up D-Robos. which is at least 2 Earth, and on potentially the Daimax turn 3, so that's 6. 6 on top of that's 8, which puts it to 17 on its own, plus the 5 is 22, and that's before you get to a boost, which will put it up to what, 29. So you can start hitting some big numbers, and it's nice that it's continuous, so they can't do a little, oh, all I've got is a grade 2, I'm just gonna, like, I'm Shadow, so I'm just gonna retire my grade 2, niggle your rear guard, la 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 la. No, it's 9k on your 11. The continuous doesn't state, only the first effect of getting powered up by the D-Robos in the G-Zone is during your turn. The others are not, so that's an 11k/13, which means basically they want to get rid of it, they're committing a column to it, or a power-up triggered rear guard. I really quite like it. It's a nice support and it's good buffing a rear guard D-Robo card. Next up, Cosmic Hero Grandberet. Burst Rearguard, GB1, Counterblast 1 at the beginning of your main phase. If your Vanguard's power is 10k or greater, pay the cost. If you do into the end of the turn, this unit gets plus 4k, and then if your Vanguard's power is 30k or greater, this unit gets power plus 4k. Act Rearguard, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your Vanguards with a burst ability, increase that unit's power by the power of this unit at the end of the turn. Retire this unit. So it's 8k on its own. The downside is it has to be on the field at the beginning of your main phase, which means it survived the opponent's turn. Being 8k is very susceptible to being niggled, but 12k swinger. Potentially, if you do into I want to say a normal stride, but like, you know, a normal stride with a Gallop Vanguard puts it over the 30k, then it's a 16k swing on its own. The way I see it potentially being most playable is making Laurel decent number, buffing it up. So giving Laurel the 12k puts it at 27, makes it both skills active, fine, you're negging a unit for it. But that's the price of it. The Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, it's, if you do both skills, it's basically saying I Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, give my Vanguard 16k, retire its card. Which you look at on paper and go, that's not great, unless my Vanguard breaking barriers, or guard breaking, I'm not too impressed. Can synergize later on with another card, but I see it more as this makes Laurel playable, and in fact it's GB1, not GB2. If it was GB2 then Laurel's out the window. In fact it's GB1. If it survived your grade 2 turn and you ride stride into Laurel, if your Laurel is your first turn stride, which is probably the best time to get Laurel, you've given it a power boost to make Laurel live and your rear guards live, like, so you effectively have a normal stride anyway with the bonus of a Laurel effect. Yes, it's neg 1 to do it, but we can't all have lovely cards. Otherwise, in a normal deck, Counterblast 1, 16k swinger, I wouldn't kick dirt in its eyes. Enigman Blanc, GB2, put this unit into your soul. At the beginning of your attack steps, you may pay the cost. If you do, countercharge 1. Burst, act, from the soul, put this unit into your drop zone. If your Vanguard's power is 10k or greater, choose one of your Vanguards with burst ability. It gets plus 4k. If your Vanguard's power is 35 or greater, choose one of your Vanguards in this turn and it gets plus 4k. I, again, not entirely fond of this card. Again, Enigma cards I think are kind of bleh. Like, you retire this card beginning of your attack step just to unflip them. Where if you're counterblasting that much, okay, but to neg this card, you're basically either putting it as a Vanguard booster and it's giving your Vanguard 4k, so it's not even being a good booster until it gets 8k, or you put it on the back right. It isn't a front row unit. It does nothing on its own, like it can't help itself, it can only help your Vanguard. If you ride over it, However, like if you ride it as your grade 1 ride and you ride over it, then you can potentially get some benefit out of it. But it gets to the point of, if you add 8k onto the 35, you're basically swinging at 43, maybe potentially plus boost. You're saying perfect guard or bust. Yes, it helps that scenario, but only helps that scenario late game. You're probably finding it hard to survive to that late game period with this card in your deck, just because it brings nothing else to the table as a rear guard. Oh, also side note, Enigman Blanc is also in the SP pack. Enigman Zephyr, Forerunner, also in the SP pack. Rear guard, counterblast 1, you're going to do attack set, pay the cost, return this unit to your hand. Burst, auto, generation break 1, when this unit is placed in rear guard, if your Vanguard's power is 10k or greater, this unit gets plus 4k. If your Vanguard's power is 30k or greater, choose one of your Vanguards and it gets plus 4k. Counterblast 1 bounces unit, again beginning the attack step, I feel is where it's going to run into problems. You can do it any time, so grade 2 swing or grade 1 swing, bounce it, and then next turn, call it. Vanguard's powers, this unit gets plus 4k. Okay, it's not too bad, 9k booster. But then you give your Vanguard, you give your Vanguard 4k. So if this is boosting the Vanguard, you're giving your Vanguard, what's that, 13k. On top of the 30 already is. It goes back to what Enigman really do best, is perfect guard me or die. I really do think the problem is the counterblast 1 at the beginning of your attack step is where it's going to fall short. Because you're basically saying, hope you've got a guard for next turn because you know what's coming. It's nice, it could potentially be a 9k boost on the rear guard, it doesn't have to say it has to boost your Vanguard. So potentially you've got a 9k boost on the rear guard. However, I still think for Enigman, this might be the best Forerunner, but for other burst decks, I think they're better Forerunners. Next up is Operator Girl Rinka. I like Rinka. Burst Act Rearguard. Generation Break 2. Put this into your soul. If your Vanguard's power is 20k or greater, draw a card. If your Vanguard's power is 35 or greater, choose one of your Vanguards with a Burst ability. At the end of the turn it gets Soul Blast 1. When you drive check reveals a grade 3 card, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a unit with the Sentinel ability on your opponent's Guardian, and that unit's effect with a cannot hit is nullified. So it's nice, it goes in, draw a card, potentially gets a proper booster / attacker out. Where you're really going to find it shine is the 35k or greater part. I mean, Soul Blast 1 to stop a PG, it tells your opponent you can't go with PGs. They effectively just won't bother. You can't really do it as a surprise unless they don't pay attention to what you've done. But you're basically saying, unless you've got more perfect guards than I have soul, use other cards to guard. Again, only with burst. So we're looking at what? Gallant, the new Cosmic Hero Stride, Laurel. If you're getting Laurel to 35, by all means. Say you have to use a perfect guard, you can't use perfect guards. That's fine with me. Not sure how you're getting it to 35. However, because it's on the act, or when you put it in, you have to be on 35. So you're giving your Vanguard? You're giving him 20k. You're giving your Vanguard 20k, 5 lots of 4k, to basically say you can't perfect guard. You're putting a lot of resources in there. However, in a Gallant deck, you're basically saying I'm going to get 4 drive checks and you can't perfect guard, which is nice. And it helps again if you have a threat of normal Laurel out on your rear guard, then it's, oh dear, I have to guard it, can't use perfect guards, he's going to Soul Blast if I can't let it hit because he's got Laurel up. So it's not a bad stand. The one downside, I think, personally, is it doesn't recycle itself, and by that I mean it doesn't go back to the deck. Moving on, Enigman Mega Current. Burst Auto, Generation Break 1. When this unit is placed on rearguard, if your Vanguard's power is 15k or greater, this unit gets plus 4k. And if your Vanguard's power is 20k or greater, 20k or greater, choose one of your vanguards. To the end of the turn it gets auto Vanguard counterblast 1, because if your attack set may pay the cost. If you do, this unit gets plus 4k. If you need the extra 4k, for whatever reason, at the beginning of your attack step, you get a counterblast 1 and get it. If you're on stride, the 4k. I'm not a big fan. I like that it gives itself 4k, but I feel you need something better. It's nice that an Enigman rearguard can actually be quite beefy. Next is Cosmic Hero Grandsmasher. Vanguard or rearguard. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, it gets plus 4k, GB1. And then burst, rearguard during your turn. If your Vanguard's power is 15k or greater, this unit gets plus 4k. And if your Vanguard's power is 35k or greater, your opponent cannot intercept when this unit attacks. What? DP Steel Narukami skills now? Like, you can't intercept. Yes, that's annoying, only when this card attacks though. So I'm swinging at you for what, 15? Plus 7, so 22. Okay, can't intercept. Potentially is going to be a bit annoying, an extra card from hand. But it's a grade 3 you're dropping. Ah, sorry, no, you're attacking from 15, attacking from like what, 9? Oh, 18. Because it's 10k. Yeah, so with a boost, you're over 21. Probably not getting over 26. So you're basically saying you've got to use 2 cards from hand, you can't just go 10k intercept. You don't really want it with your Vanguard, so it's rearguard only. And again, how many grade 3s are you calling that you want to use for stride fodder? That unless you can bounce them back. I don't think it's that great. It's not bad if you want like an alternate, so maybe like throw 1 or 2 of it into a deck, or you can't get full gallop. Next up is Enigman Sirocco. Burst, auto, rearguard, soul blast 1, beginning of your attack step. If Vanguard's power is 10k or greater, pay the cost. If you do this, gets plus 2k. During that battle, until the end of that battle, if your Vanguard's power is 15k or greater, choose one of your opponent's units, and that cannot intercept until the end of that battle. So essentially, I mean, yeah, okay, so the skill you can use it on is from grade 2 ride, if you have a 10k swinger, or if you boost with something that isn't your starter. Stopping 1 unit from intercepting, okay, if they've got a grade 3 and a grade 2, you choose the grade 2, it can't intercept. Problem is you choose one of your units, so resist nullifies that, whereas the other one, your opponent cannot intercept, it targets the opponent, not your cards. This targets a card. I think there are better options for 11k swingers, if I'm honest. It's not going, oh look at it, I get attack, soul blast, it's 11 on your 11, you can't intercept to go, well I only dropped this card, it's dead to me, I can intercept with it. So in that case, fine. It's an Enigman card, so moving away from the ride chains with this sort of stuff. And potentially again, if you can get it to a big enough number, so you put triggers on it or something, not being able to intercept is again, it could be that card from hand. Not being able to intercept are underused, and I think the more, when you come across it, it's annoying. However, when you're thinking about the deck, I don't think you're going to go, it's a must put in. It's, if you have to put it in, or if you want to try and do fancy techs, fine, but I just think there are going to be better options out there for either a burst deck, maybe even for an Enigma deck. And again, Soul Blast 1, a lot of things in this set are starting to use the soul. How much soul do you have? Next up is Metalborg Blacking Burrow. Continuous rearguard. If you have a Vanguard in Legion with Metalborg in its card name, this gets plus 2k. And then also Counterblast 1 when you're also rearguard Counterblast 1 when your Vanguard Metalborg in its card name attacks, pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your Vanguards against power equal to this unit's power, put this into your soul. Again, Metalborg deck. Metalborgs are focused on Legion. You've got a Legion Vanguard. How are you benefiting from this? So, ideal scenario is you put it when, so you Legion with Metalborg, Simbuster, you're at 20k, okay, fine, whatever. Your Vanguard's in Legion. This unit's power is now 2k, and then bam, or plus 2k, sorry, so 11k, bam, 31 on your Vanguard, you're in Legion, your opponent cannot put a perfect guard down. Boom, Metalborg, punch you in the face. It's one of those ones where it's only going to help you if you can't stride, and if you can't stride, take full advantage of it by all means. Because you start, if you want to do this, you hit potentially even 5k better than stride. However, you do lose the drive check. But if you can't stride and you've got to use it, you have to put this into your soul, fuels the soul, other things can use the soul. But other than that, it's not a bad 11k swinger. With Metalborg there are better other options. This is just that usefulness of, I'm Legioned, I can't give my Vanguard the 11k I need, or 10k to 11k I need to A, hit a barrier, B, be that better number. This is your option. So yeah, again, it goes back to, it helps the Metalborgs give you threat, but only works if your Vanguard's in Legion. It's nice that when it's your Metalborg attacks, so again it can swing, then do its skill, and it can boost the stride as well. So it's not, I mean, there's benefits for it, and I think if you're making a Metalborg deck, I think you'll be foolish to leave it out. Just putting it out there. Not that I think you're going to make a Metalborg deck, never know. Next, Enigman Swirl. So boosting the unit with a burst ability, boost the unit gets plus 2k. 9k booster on burst. That's it, pretty much. Metalborg Jetcider. Auto Soul Blast 1. When this unit is placed on rear guard, pay the cost. If you do, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, search for up to 1 card with Legion among them, put it into your hand, put the rest into your drop zone. So what this card does is fuels the Legion. So you know you have to put 4 back for Legion. Sometimes if you ride grade 3 and you may not have 4 there, this is helping you. Soul Blast 1, if you do get the search, you are guaranteeing 4 cards in the drop zone. But it could suck is if you go, that's 4 triggers, they're gone, and you don't get the Legion you want. You don't get the Legion basically. But potentially it can get you out of a Greylock situation. I think you'll probably run it in a Metalborg deck. Not giantly thrilled about it, but anything which can sort of search your card is not bad. I think it's alright. So Abatement Monster Wilking. Also rearguard Soul Blast 2. When your Vanguard attacks or is attacked, pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's units in the front row, it gets power minus 10k into the end of that battle. Probably the only Zeal support in this set, but it's not restricted to Zeal. It's a very good card. If you've got Soul you don't really know what to do with, not using Soul, well then why not just say minus 10k to the attacking unit. It doesn't have to be the Vanguard, it could be a rear guard. Effectively when this card's on the field, you can use it defensively or aggressively. I know you don't have a perfect guard. I'm going to make you have to do 10k more guard when my Vanguard attacks. Oh, you're attacking me? Well, I know I don't have 10k guard, but I know that's what I need. Soul Blast 2, that unit gets minus 10k. Yes, it's annoying, it's only the end of that battle. So if they go swing, restand at some point, fine, you've got to do it twice. But it's a card where you can utilize when you want to use it. So I'm swinging at you, giant number, let's make it bigger. You're swinging at me, well let's just Soul Blast 2, I get some guard. And you can put it in any deck you want. Providing you've got the souls, so you probably wouldn't want to max 4 out, but maybe 1 or 2 here and there. and it's one of those. It's seen play in Japan, and I think it potentially may have taken a few people by surprise, because it's like, what's that card do? That's weird. But it's that nice. It benefits you in both, again, aggressive and defensive. I think more defensively, but both ways. Next up is Dimensional Robo Diehawk, which is a Forerunner. Act Rearguard. Choose 4 Rearguards with D-Robo in its card name, put them into your soul. If you have a grade 3 Vanguard with D-Robo in its card name, choose up to 1 face down card with D-Robo in its card name from your G-Zone and stride it on your Vanguard. So, I see you there, grade 1 7Cs. I see you there, Mr. I'm on grade 2, and I don't want you to stride first. So I'm going to stall and make you go in Counterblast 2, go into Ujima Flip. No. What I'm going to do is, with this card, ideal scenario, your opponent's on grade 2. Well, okay, ideal scenario, your opponent's grade lock, and then you just abuse the crap out of them. But ideal scenario, opponent's on grade 2. Drop 3 units. Drop 3 units. Suck it in, go into Dire. Counterblast 2. Call 2 units. You got GB1 active. On top of that, you've paid for stride by fueling your soul. Benefits other cards. And you're on stride. So, if you can, and it probably is a drop your entire hand scenario, but you could literally go bam, stride, drop hand, have Laurel active, as in the original Laurel, swing. I could get 6 cards out of this, all for the cost of what? Well, yeah, it's your entire hand. Essentially, you drop 3 cards to get 2, because you're basically saying I'm using my starter skill. But you don't have to use the starter, so you could drop 4, suck them in. You could have a handful of draw triggers, a handful of rubbish. I don't know. It has to be D-Robo. You can stride when your opponent is on grade 1, 2, 3, whatever. If you don't want to, if you can't ditch for stride, this is what you would use. I think it's a good card. It pretty much is a D-Robo starter. I think it's very good. Okay, moving on, we have Enigman Fall, which is a generic crit. Enigman Foehn, which is a generic heal. Enigman Mistral, which is put into soul plus 3k to a unit. Right, so that's it for Dimensional Police from We Are Trinity Dragon. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Check out the Facebook page, and hopefully when set comes out we can bring you some games with stuff, and we'll see you guys next time.